Good afternoon, veterans across America. I am Treasure Owens, and this is our third episode where we're bringing on Black veteran entrepreneurs and corporate career holders across the country. We're going to be talking a little bit about personal and professional development topics. And today I am on here with Kwame Crawford, one of my friends. He's a 7-year Navy veteran. He's a HBCU grad, the prestigious Howard to be exact. And he is currently getting his master's in public policy from the University of Illinois, Chicago. And he's a board member of the Salvation Army. Kwame does a lot. He's worked with the Veterans Treatment Court as an advisor. He's also currently the Deputy Director of Veterans Affairs for Cook County. So we are going to hear a little bit more about him, his career, what got him into the Veterans Treatment Court, and just really deep diving into some of the questions that I have seen on the internet and just having conversations with fellow veterans about the Veterans Treatment Court as well as the Department of Veteran Affairs. So we're going to be bringing up a couple of those topics towards him, and hopefully he can answer some of our questions, and we can just have a really thought-provoking conversation. Yeah, so well, some of the topics that we were gonna really talk about today, with Kwame, again, we're just covering some of the Veteran Assistance Commission, which is it's a treatment court. I mean, not the Veterans Assistance Commission. I'm sorry, the Veterans Treatment Court, which covers justice impacted veterans who are currently facing mental health challenges as well as substance abuse challenges. So it's a really important part of the Department of Justice system. And I think that, it's a really important topic that we kind of cover today because there's a couple of ways to get involved. I will say that you can be a mentor if you're looking to find more ways to get involved within the veteran community, or if you're just looking for more ways to serve the veteran community, or if it's just something that you most likely resonate with. Maybe you went through uh, UCMJ, or any type of legal actions within the military or even on the civilian side, and you just want to, help navigate others through that process. Some ways that I've seen online to get involved is just reaching out um, to the mentor coordinator of that program. So that's one way to get involved. And if you need those resources, we wanted to talk a little bit about like where to find those resources. So it's really a quick Google search to see like what that looks like for your area. Because from my understanding is if you are justice impacted in a specific area, you have to go to the Veterans Treatment Court in that area. So like if you are in the jurisdiction of Atlanta, you're not going to go through the Veterans Treatment Court in Illinois like that. It just doesn't work that way. You hear me?
I can hear you perfect. Hey, thanks so much for being patient with me. As you know, I'm traveling, and so the signal is just it is what it is.
No worries, no worries. I've seen a couple of your posts online. I saw that you were in some type of construction site. Are you building over there?
Yeah, my brother and I are kind of building a house right now in eastern region of Ghana. So yeah, just been through the last 3 weeks, just getting reacclimated to what's going on here and trying to figure out things on the ground.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm excited to see what the end result looks like. Definitely snap some pictures, keep us updated on social media. Are you cool with sharing your social media on here?
Uh, Typically, I don't, but for you, yeah, you can follow me on X at Kwame Crawford or Instagram at KWAMITSU _ which is Kwame or LinkedIn at Kwame.K.Crawford.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. So in the beginning, I did try to do you some justice as far as all of your involvements, but you are super involved in the community. Your work is incredibly impactful. So I hope I did you justice. I don't know if you were able to hear me, but I did want to dive into the Veterans Treatment Court. I already brought it to their attention, that it affects, those who are just it is for those veterans who are just as impacted but experiencing mental health and substance abuse as some underlying issues as far as like why they got in a situation, I would say. But I wanted to know a little bit more about, you know, your work, your role there as an advisor, as well as what inspired you to start working with the Veterans Treatment Court.
Well, thanks for even asking, Treasure. Candidly, so I served the United States Navy for about 4 years and received a general discharge after unknowingly ingesting THC. And so, as any veteran knows, that is a career ending sentence.
It
But there is
is.
life after service. And so, can you hear me? Okay?
I can.
Okay, and so that's a life, that's a career-ending sentence, but there is life after service. Many veterans who leave uniform in either general or honorable conditions, OTH, other than honorable or dishonorable conditions, typically are not eligible for their veterans benefits by the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Were you?
And so I recently became a veteran as of October 2022, but unlike most veterans, they're not eligible for their benefits. And so without the resources, access to mental health, access to, some of those financial resources or even other state or local resources, a lot of veterans end up turning to finance with desperation, while they're figuring out how to adjust to the civilian world. And
Mhm.
so, mental health and addiction challenges come into play for some, and they wind up in the veterans treatment courts,
Mhm.
um, which is, as you know, in each county across the and run by their local jurisdictions. So I saw
Mhm.
myself as someone who this could happen to really anyone. And when we raise our right hand, we swear an oath to serve the nation, but also to support each other. And so for me, this is just another way for me to continue my service to the warfighter is helping them post their service. So that's kind of why I joined the Veterans Treatment Court and wanted to, bring my skill set to connecting people, being a bridge builder, to helping veterans in Cook County, the second largest county in the nation, kind of get get resources that they need to survive.
Wow, I really commend you for your work. What I will say is I kind of connect to that as well. I would say to a degree. Now, I did get out honorably. And I left on a medical discharge, but what I will say is one of the conversations that I actually had with one of my NCOs on my way out the door, I was telling him, I was like, look, you guys need to take me out of the slot that I'm in because I was the NCO IC of the S2. And I was like, I'm not in a mental space to be a leader for someone else at this time. Like I am literally in survival mode. I don't know what I'm gonna do next. And
Mm,
so, I mean, I could have got arrested for sleeping in my car. You know what I mean? During those time periods where
sure.
I was down bad. So what I will say is that I commend you for your work. I'm glad um, that this is a resource that's out there available to veterans, and I don't think that enough people know about it, so I'm glad that we're able to kinda have that conversation here and, talk about it. But what I will say is something that I noticed is that I don't think that the mentorship program in the Cook County, Veterans Treatment Court is there anymore if I'm not mistaken. I did wanna know, just based off of that situation, what opportunities and practices do you think would help to better support the veterans who are going through this process? And how do these current existing policies that take away those resources, such as the mentorship, which I think is a really big proponent of this program, how does that hinder the effectiveness of the restorative justice for these veterans going through this situation?
So, two things there. First, I will say that veterans, you can any veteran who's interested in getting involved in the Veterans Treatment Court, anywhere they are in the continental United States, can reach out to their local court and say, "Hey, I'm a veteran and I understand what it means to serve, and I want to get involved and help fellow veterans kind of find their way." It's a pro bono initiative, and there's likely a court there. But there are many barriers to in the veterans world, right?
Mhm.
Finances is one of them, and so for many courts around the country, many of those courts, the mentor coordinators and the mentors themselves are pro bono roles, and so natural restrictions typically come from veterans who are either of the same age or conflict who want to render a hand of support to a fellow veteran. Just having interest in supporting someone for free and helping them find their way past the stigmas that we as veterans have faced on our own. Um, as we came at it uniform is one of the main
Uh,
and concerns
Wait,
that we
one
think
moment, because we kind of lost you
finding.
at when you said one of the main. What of the main? Can you repeat what you were going to say?
Oh, sure. One of the main barriers is finding veterans willing to donate their time, connect with local court,
Hmm.
and help veterans who are in the justice system. But another main barrier to this is funding at the local and state and federal levels for the Veterans Treatment Court. Bureau of Justice at the DOJ is phenomenal in providing to support some of these courts, the local level. However, for many jurisdictions around the country, funding is just, it may or may not be there at the state level. So we should be having these conversations in our state capitals and in our local council meetings as well about how to provide funding for restorative justice courts, treatment court, mental health, and otherwise.
Hmm.
That would provide access to these services that bring the community together, not just at the local level, but the state and the federal come to these courtrooms. We should really be talking about how to fund all these things.
So I actually had another question for you as well, but this wasn't necessarily directed towards the Veterans Treatment Court. It was more so directed towards your current position as Deputy Director of the Veterans Affairs for Cook County government. I'm noticing that funding is just like the biggest hindrance, I would say, in the veterans community. I'm not sure where we can like. Okay, so I'm gonna just kind of give you some context to like a part of where this question came from, but also like some of the things that I've been reading online. Um, so as far as like where I stand, I remember when I was in North Carolina, I was like thinking about the Black Veterans Expo, which is, something that we did in June recently. And so when I was kind of gearing up towards this, I knew what I wanted to do. I didn't have necessarily a name behind it or anything like that. So I was like, oh yeah, we could do a pop-up at my National Guard unit and my armory. And then, we can just kind of like build from there. And I was like, when we do it, we can raise funds and we could give it to local armories and things like that, and then they were like, no, you can't put like you just can't donate to certain organizations and stuff like that. Like I noticed that that was a thing. So even when it comes to funding, it's like we can't even help in that regard, or it seems like we can't help. And I know, like, the funding situation is kind of different for the different organizations. Like the DoD is supported by the National Defense Authorization Act. I believe that the Department of Veteran Affairs is covered by um, what is it, Appropriation Committee, and what is it like at? what is it like for the Cook County level? That's for the Cook County board, correct? They are the ones who give the funding?
Right. So funding at each level is different. You're right. And so at the county level, the funding is determined by the Cook County Board. I guess what was your specific question? I'm sorry, maybe I missed that one.
No, I mean, I really just wanted to know, like, how that process worked in the first place to see if this question even, I would say, particularly made sense. But, I kinda wrote it down, and I'll kinda read off the paper. So, some of the things that I've been seeing online is that, people are saying that partisan politics are preventing, funding for the VA, which is impacting, of course, the quality of care for our fellow veterans. But I would say, what structural changes or policy changes do you think could break through this political impasse and really just secure consistent and adequate funding for veterans? Because obviously, if we can't donate, if we can't, help out with the funding, like how are we like what's our best move? Our best move would be going the political way, but it seems like the political way has its own barriers. So I just wanted to know like um how we can help you do your job, how we can continue to help you and support you in this role, how we can get more funding into the VA and just stop these programs from being defunded. Essentially, is where I was going with this.
Okay, well, sure.
Hold on, it's a little bit unstable. It's better.
Okay, let me just say I am, as of last month, the former Deputy Director of Veterans Affairs for Cook County Government,
Hmm.
because in um, I believe in serving the people, and I think we in Cook County need a level of funding that really honors the amount of veterans that we have in the second largest county in the nation. And so our counterparts in LA have over $2 million in their Department of Veterans Affairs and over 70 employees. And I hope that one day Cook County government really believes in veterans enough to mirror that or exceed that limit. But as it pertains to funding, we need a substantial amount of money to provide veteran programming at the county level. And so it really is on the Cook County Board of Commissioners and the Cook County Board to provide that funding from the administrative officers, the Cook County Administrative Officers Administrative Office to find the funding required to truly serve the needs of the over 175,000 veterans in Cook County. Um, in terms of at the federal level, as you mentioned, the U.S. Department of Veterans. Can you hear me?
I can. It's still
I,
like a little peachy, but it's fine.
I'm sorry. We're working in developing world challenges now, but
No
as
worries.
you mentioned, the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is funded by a congressional letter of appropriation that goes to the congressional the appropriations committee. And so, what it would really take in order to expand veteran services is members of Congress would have to do a congressional budget state to show how much money is needed in order to expand or include additional services that may not already be provided at the VA level in order for the Department of Veterans Affairs to even have those services expanded. And so, when you talk about the local level, you have to go to your city council meetings, you have to go to your uh, county board or commissioner meetings, your folder meetings. And at the federal level, you have to reach out to your federal elected officials and let them know what explicitly is needed in that issue area, and provide hard data numbers for impact and help quantify the cost for that request. And So, at the so, that just depends on the state, but it's really a three-tiered approach. It requires veterans and constituents to get involved and to really connect with their elected officials and stay with them beyond election day, stay connected beyond election day, and stay connected with them beyond, you know, a certain bill being passed or a certain act being passed through the legislature. It really takes people just engaged consistently.
Okay. So really the bulk of what I got from that is that this is a fight that is it's gonna be a long while. It's not about, I guess, winning the battle. The battles don't necessarily win the war, you have to keep at it, is essentially what I'd say, um, is what I got from that. What I will do is continue to, attend, like, the Veterans Assistance Commission of Cook Counties, events and stuff like that. And I guess like that's something that you guys can do to continue to get involved and just like make sure that these resources that we do have available to us don't continue to go away. Continuing to be actively involved, reaching out to your local aldermen, your local mayors, just everybody involved in the political process. And like you said, just not like leaving it off at the table once a bill is passed, like actually keeping up with what's going on around you, and what's on the table, I would say. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Candidly, I want to say that like government can't do it all. And so you asked what it takes to get the funding. Some of these government initiatives, you cannot take money from the outside. And what it requires is really, veteran nonprofits and different NGOs to come together and to pick up the tab and say, hey, we want to work with these folks. We want to work with veterans. We want to fill the gap between Department of Justice funding, veterans treatment courts,
Mhm.
and I don't know, big warriors. They want to partner with you all to provide some of these resources. For instance, it really takes a collaborative effort from the community, from the private sector, putting their
Yeah.
money together and their networks together to maybe put on a justice impacted veterans employment seminar to help justice impacted veterans with nonviolent offenses figure out how to reenter into the community.
Yeah.
All of the things that we talk about, idealistically, in business and corporate social responsibility and in, kind of at our government roundtables, it takes us actually doing that. And it really takes
Mhm.
the electorate to say, hey, that's what we want. That's what we need. And I know election day is 11 months away, but what are we doing today? Right.
Agree. Wait, Kwame.
So
So we are running out of time, but I do thoroughly appreciate that answer. And yeah, get your nonprofits off the ground. Definitely, we all have to get involved in this process. But Kwame, we are running out of time. I know that we had an issue with the connection issues, but I really truly appreciate you coming on and having this conversation with us. I think that this was a very intellectual conversation, and I'm hoping that those who want to get involved and want to continue to support the veteran community have heard it from us, and are just continuing to listen to our voices as we continue to speak up about like what we'd like to see in the future. So thank you guys for tuning in. Kwame, thank you for coming in with your spotty connection on FaceTime. I will talk to you guys in 1 month. I'll see you guys soon. Please keep up with us on social media. All right. Thanks.